I've been thinking this little phrase here, e pluribus unum, is one of those things that people have been indoctrinated to think that it's an idea that must be supported, or you're un-American, or you're not patriotic, or something along those lines. Now, when the Union of the States was first formed, the idea of putting many people together and forming one was not that difficult, because we were talking about people who shared a lot in common. Western European, Christian, and so forth. And so it's an idea that, could work in that, local context, chronologically local, historical context. But to blindly devote yourself to the idea, I think, is the root of a lot of problems, because what we're doing now, I think, as a nation, is we're trying to follow this idea that is no longer viable, that you really can't get one people out of so much diversity. It's a bad idea at this point. You're going to end up with a lot of people being forced to compromise their conscience to a great degree. Why not recognize where we are now in history as a perfect time to give up on e pluribus unum and start to figure out how we're going to split into states, individual nation states that will offer different values for the different people that are now occupying this land. You're not going to fit them all into one value system without force. And I think, I'm not the only one that can see that on the horizon. We're coming up to a place now in American history where, in order to get everybody on the same page, there's going to be a lot of force necessary. I, for instance, don't think that we should have same-sex marriage. Now, somebody else might think we should. Abortion. I don't think we should have abortion. Other people do. So I think when it's getting to be this divided, that's what we should do, is divide and have more variety, so you can have states with people that want to, want to have gay marriage or whatever, and cap and trade. But they can go and do that if they want to. But to try to drag everybody into these broad, well, I shouldn't say broad, but you're dragging everybody, trying to drag everybody into pigeonhole the same place, get on the same page. I think that's no longer realistic. There's just too many different irreconcilable values that to try to live this out according to the idea is no longer practical. It's no longer a good idea, and it certainly impinges on freedom. At this point, you can't do it and be free at the same time. So this is all part of my campaign to get people to start thinking in new ways about what's coming, what's heading our way, in terms of how are we going to maintain freedom. Really interested in the freedom aspects of this. I'm not approaching this. Usually, if somebody's attacking America, it's because they're communists, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing the opposite. I'm saying the ideas that the founders wanted to accomplish can no longer be accomplished in such a large, such a large variety of different people. Freedom is no longer going to be accessible. So we have to split it in small groups, smaller people groups. So really, what I'm thinking about here is this is the American, the original American idea was the self-government of people groups, and if the people groups get too large and too diverse, you can't do that anymore, and that is where we're at right now in our nation's history. It's time to split up. That's a practical, logical idea. It can be done. I think it could be done peacefully. I'm hoping. So at any rate, I hope that I can encourage more people to start thinking along these lines. Now I'm going to talk about Michelle Bachmann for president, and how the idea of Michelle Bachmann for president conflicts with the idea of doing away with e pluribus unum. So as much as I like Michelle Bachmann, I don't see her as somebody at this point who's going to take on the American ideas to the degree that I do. I also think that at this stage in our history, having a large country like America is a violation of the biblical principles of what happened at the Tower of Babel. God doesn't want people in such large groups like this, because it does. It violates personal freedom. It violates people's rights and so forth. Humans were not made for one size fits all existence, and that's I think one of the reasons that the languages were confused at the Tower of Babel, because God wanted this diversity, and you're not going to get it if you try to make everybody share the same values. It can't be done. You're going to have to, like I said, you're going to end up forcing people. So in addition to just the pragmatic side of it, I think there's also a moral side. Now, you could make an argument that e pluribus unum model, if everybody was united in Christ, for instance, everybody became a Christian and was submitted to the teachings of Jesus, that would be more like what the country was like when it was first founded. And the differences were not so pronounced as they would be today. Theoretically, philosophically, theologically speaking, I suppose that you can make a case for an e pluribus unum in Christ, that if the world was converted to Christ, then that might be the unity, that might be the common denominator that would provide the kind of unity that is expressed in the American motto, e pluribus unum. But it's not going to be done now, not with people who are on so far different pages in terms of their values. You can't. It's not possible. It's no longer going to work unless somebody's going to have to give up a lot of freedoms, and or we could split up into individual states where you can go and find a state that suits your whatever your values. So now what's this thing doing? It crashed on me. Man, this computer's crashing like crazy. Okay. Stop capture. Let's see what happens. Finish.